want to tell you is that whatever you believe in, right? The stuff that can drastically move you from a paradigm that's based in your thug world programming to a paradigm of bliss and a paradigm based on what you believe that God has made us capable of and what God has made us for bliss, happiness. I want to say, right, that the majority of people on the internet and even like who talk about all these things and even work in like holistic health and healing and all of that, the 99% of them, right, they don't actually believe the stuff. They're fine with it until there's some kind of urgency, and then the whole thug programming comes in, and next thing they're in the hospital, they're getting pumped with drugs. They might be even owning an account on Instagram about, herbs that are painkillers and herbs can do this and herbs can do that. But as soon as they have like a deep gash, they're like, you know what I mean? And I've been there. I've been in that situation. So I know what I'm talking about, right? So no, my point is this, right? Whether whatever your belief system is, right? Coming back into nature, coming back into our life as a soul that can heal, right? Coming back into that. You can't wait for a situation to happen, right? Like some tragedy or something, and expect that you will make a grand and fantastic decision on that day and at that moment. Doesn't work that way. You have to build up the muscle. You have to practice fearlessness on a daily basis. You have to practice fearlessness on a daily basis. I'll tell you why. Because ultimately, right, that change you want in your life, right, it will come through the situation where you have to choose a drastic choice different from before. For example, the last time you fell very badly ill, did you panic and go to the hospital and spend a whole lot of money on nothing, only to be drained by antibiotics for 15 days? Now, the next time that you have a situation like that, you really ought to have the faith in your body's natural healing, to take herbs or even not take anything and know that you're going to be well. You need to have that. And you don't develop it the day you get some horrible disease suddenly. You develop this on a daily basis. You start taking herbs for coughs and colds, for example, or you start looking after yourself with herbs. So this, I'm giving you this example to do with herbs, right, but it applies to everything. For example, if you're somebody with a history of panic, anxiety, nervous breakdown, that sort of thing, you don't wait till you have the next nervous breakdown, right, to think differently and to face the emotional conditions that lead up to these things. You have to build up. You have to build your muscle. You have to get into the habit. You have to change your consciousness, because previously you were connected to thug world consciousness, and so that's why you couldn't decide differently at a moment of panic or urgency. So now here's the deal, right? If you want to step into the next paradigm for you, you're going to be presented with a situation where you will have to choose differently. And this is extremely important for those who want to choose their heart in life, because thug world, right, is constantly programming us to devalue our heart's feelings constantly. You go shopping, right? So let's say you go shopping and you go to like a big supermarket where there are lots of clothes. Right there, right, if you like something, right, if you like something, whoever you're with shopping, or the sales girl or whoever, will be like, That color may not be that good for you, but this one might be. Now your heart might like red, pink, blue, whatever, but your programming will tell you that the colors which suit you are these other colors, and your programming will tell you, oh, if you take a darker color then you look slimmer in it. Your programming will tell you that the event that you're going for or you want to buy the clothes for, gray is more suitable. So what happens is, I'm just showing you how your heart is being constantly overridden, devalued. You know how, I think it's Japan or China, they actually have little girls wear shoes, small little shoes, and they don't allow the child's foot to develop normally. They keep it in that shoe and they make the feet fit into that shoe. So the feet are deformed, but they fit into that shoe because they think that small feet are sexy or something like that. That is so horrible. But that is what Thagwal does to our heart and to our feelings. Constantly, Thagwal tells us that what you feel and what you like, that is not right unless it fits into this mental mold. For example, everybody is programmed about what kind of person they're supposed to be with. Everybody to some level or the other has this programming, and you're told if your profession is this, then the kind of guy that you should be with is like this, or if you live in a particular place, then the kind of woman that you should fall in love with, or the kind of man you should fall in love with. If you live on a farm, then this kind of person, or if you live in the city, then this kind of person, and if you have this lifestyle, then you're all these things, and they're running in the back of your mind. And if people all the time pass over somebody that they have feelings for because they don't fit the mental idea. It's like they don't even consider them. They don't even know. They don't even know that their heart is feeling stuff. And this stuff, this matter of the heart choice, it's so important because ultimately, the flow of the heart is the flow of life energy. You keep putting your heart into small size shoes. You keep pressing your heart into what the mind agrees, and you will die because that's life energy being restricted there. And you know what? Anytime you are trying to make a quantum move with your life, right? In some way or another, it will come down to a matter of choice of your heart and faith in God. In some way or another, faith, heart, it comes down to this. And you can't make that decision suddenly one day. It doesn't work that way. You may not even be aware that you have that choice. There are a lot of people, they on their way to work, to their abusive workplace, they pass by the very thing that could completely set them free from having to depend on that abusive job for their life support, for their money, for their living. They pass right by it every day and they don't know. It's because you got to build your muscle and change your consciousness on a daily basis, right? In small things and in big things, learn to honor your heart. Honor your heart in everything. And then when the big days come, when the paradigm shift moments come, you'll be ready for those. You got to build that muscle.